Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video. I haven't done these before, but I did mention on a previous opening video that I would start doing some of deck techs for some of my commander decks. The first one is probably my favorite, or at the very least tied for my favorite. It is a mono black Liliana Heretical Healer deck. It is all the Liliana Planeswalkers jammed into a commander deck, and then as many characters as I can legally put in a commander deck from Liliana's story put in there, in mono black obviously. We'll go through the creatures and stuff, and there is one omission because it's banned in commander, which is Gristlebrand. I did have it in here for a while and just rule zeroed the second ability, the pay life to draw cards ability out of it, but it just was still very oppressive, an 8/8 flying lifelinker, and when you're playing in new playgroups, people were just like, no, that's banned. So I took it out so I didn't have to have the conversation, honestly. But here it is. So Liliana Heretical here is a 3-mana 2/3 human cleric, legendary creature of course, with lifelink, and whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile Liliana Heretical Healer, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. And then she flips into Liliana Defiant Necromancer. +2, each player discards a card. -X, return target non-legendary creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. And -8, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Great card. A whole lot of fun to run as your commander. The whole deck is honestly a bit of an amalgamation of too many strategies. There's zombies, demons, reanimator, everything. Speaking of the zombies, I have the tokens over here. Whoops, knock on my camera. I'm using the M11 zombie tokens because I feel like they're really creepy. I also have some foil Eldritch Moon zombies, which are really nice. Just because I played a whole lot of Eldritch Moon and opened a lot of it and got a bunch of the zombie tokens. And then that's for a War of the Spark card that I don't remember. The Zombie Berserkers actually need to come out because I don't run that card anymore. 1/1 Human Cleric. If anyone has this token and wants to send it to me, please let me know, because I am currently running a piece of paper over a basic planes, because for the life of me, I cannot find this 1/1 black and white Human Cleric token from Shadows over Innistrad anywhere. But anyway. And then we go into the emblems. So I'm not going to show you all of them, I'll just show you the one that matters for this one, which is that. Took a while to find this emblem, I have to say. And then I'll show you the rest as we go. So, the deck list will be in the video description. It's just a link to an Archidect page that I have updated very recently. And let's go through, what's the best way to do this? Let's go through the lands first. And yes, I am running Sol Ring. So, first up, Brajuka Bog. It's a mono black commander deck. You get to exile someone's graveyard. That's great. Cabal Coffers. Again, it's a mono black commander deck. You need to get as much mana as possible to cast some of these big demons and stuff. So Cabal Coffers is one of the best mana accelerants in black, I have to say. Urborg is also in this deck. Cabal Stronghold, I'm running 21 basic swamps, so quite often that will end up producing quite a bit of black mana. Castle Lochthwain, card draw in black isn't impossible, but having it on a land is handy. Fabled Passage, just because it's a pretty version and I really like it. High Market. It's incredible how often it was incredible how often I would get Liliana down and not be able to flip her because I didn't have a way of killing a creature or sacrificing a creature or something like that. So I put this in and it has come in handy a couple of times. Khan's Bastion. It's a Liliana Super Friends deck, so yes, you need proliferation, and this was the promo version that I really liked. Maze of Ith, bunch of Liliana Planeswalkers you want to protect. Maze of Ith is fantastic. Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. Again, mono black deck, pay 2 and choose a color, add mana equal to your devotion to that color is huge when you've got some that have 3 or 4 black pips. Liliana herself has 2, so quite often that's generating tens of mana. Phyrexian Tower, another sacrifice outlet, and just great card in general. Reliquary Tower. Again, this is more just because I liked this version than I actually need. I do often draw a lot of cards in this deck, but it is yeah, it's more just because it's a really nice version. There's that Urborg. So yeah, each land is a swamp in addition to its land type. Westvale Abbey. Now, this card is so much fun. It's the pre-release version that I got in the pre-release for Shadows over Innistrad, and you can tap to add just a colorless to your mana pool, pay 5 tap, pay a life, put a 1/1 white and black human cleric token onto the battlefield. That's that token I was talking about before. Then pay 5 and tap it, sacrifice 5 creatures, transform it, and it becomes Ormondal, Profane Prince, flying, lifelink, indestructible, haste, a 9/7, and it is just, it's a beater. It's a demon for demon reasons, but it also just, the amount of times I've flipped this and then come back from the brink of death because I've been paying life for things is kind of ridiculous. Back in there, that goes. So that's all the non-basic lands, and then of course we are running the new Liliana swamps from Foundations. I managed to get a hold of 21 of them after doing some openings myself and trading for them with folks from the store, and they are just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Unfortunately not all foil, but I will get them all foiled eventually. Hello world, you can see me in the reflection. So that's the lands. Next up we have some artifacts. Sol Ring, this is the Commander Collection Black Sol Ring. I don't know, seemed relevant. The Liliana did come in Commander Collection Black. I actually have it here, and that's the one I generally have with the deck. But I'm thinking I'll swap it back over to Origins, because Origins is when I started playing. Arcane Signet, don't really need it in a mono black deck, but this was a full art version, and I was like, why not? Jet Medallion, now this is fantastic. This is the original Tempest version, and it just is so helpful. Again, because you're casting basically all black spells, the ramp you get out of that is obscene. Geth's Grimoire, however you say it. 4 mana, and whenever an opponent discards a card from his or her hand, you may draw a card. A lot of the Liliana Planeswalkers do discard things, so that's great. Nyx Lotus. I opened a foil one of these, and it's probably one of the cards that's been on the chopping block for the deck so many times when I've had other things pop up, but I just haven't had the heart to cut it. End is tapped, and then you just add to your Devotion. Again, Devotion's huge in this deck. You've got some demons and stuff that have 2, 3, 4 Devotion, so it just adds up very, very quickly. The Chain Veil, huge story piece from Liliana. The Chain Veil was part of her Vorthos story, so you get to activate abilities twice, which is awesome. I should probably read it because it's not a super played card, I guess. 4 mana legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't activate a loyalty ability of a planeswalker, this turn you lose 2 life. 4 and tap, for each planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn as though none of its loyalty abilities had been activated. Cage Sun. 6 mana, when it enters, choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, and whenever a land's ability causes you to add 1 or more mana of the chosen color, add an additional mana of that chosen color. So all those lands that Cabal Coffers, for example, that tap to add black equal to the number of swamps you control, that'll add an additional one, which is nice. On to the creatures we go. This is my second favorite part of the deck. You'll notice that the vast majority of these creatures are zombies or demons, because, well, it's Liliana. That's just what you got to do. Champion of the Perished. Whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter of Champion of the Perished. It's a 1 mana 1/1. Very good. Crypt Breaker. Again, this is a pre-release promo that I got at the pre-release. Pay 2 and tap it to discard a card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Tap 3 untapped zombies you control. You draw a card and lose 1 life. So good for 1 mana 1/1. Zul Ashur Lich Lord. 2 mana 2/2 legendary creature zombie warlock. Ward, pay 2 life. Tap, you may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. I've only just put this in when Foundations came out, and I'm yet to play it, but it seems really good. Great mono black zombie commander in my opinion. Tiny Bones, Trinket Thief. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent discards a card this turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Pay 6, each opponent with no cards in hand loses 10 life. There's a lot of discard on the Liliana Planeswalker, so it's just incidental value. Cemetery Reaper. Other zombies you control get +1/+1. Pay 3 and tap it, exile target creature card from a graveyard, put a 2/2 zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Great. Death Baron, or the Spaghetti Baron as I used to call him. 3 mana 2/2 zombie wizard, skeletons you control, and other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have death touch. Diagraph Colossus. 3 mana 2/2 zombie giant. Diagraph Colossus enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter for each zombie card in your graveyard. Whenever you cast a zombie spell, put a 2/2 black zombie creature onto the battlefield tapped. Fleshbag Marauder. It's the extended art foil version from Commander Masters, so it has pringled a bit, but such is life. 3 mana 3/1 zombie wizard. Zombie warrior. When Fleshbag Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. Nice and simple. Moidorous Rider. So it's a 3 mana 2/3 zombie knight with an adventure on it, which is Swift End, which is a 3 mana instant, which is destroy target creature or planeswalker, you lose 2 life. And the creature itself has lifelink, and when Murderous Rider dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. Plaguecrafter. Basically the same thing as Fleshbag Marauder, but it's a human, not a zombie. I nearly said hombi then, and that's definitely wrong. 3/2. When Plaguecrafter enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. Unstoppable Slasher, another new addition. It's a 3 mana 2/3 zombie assassin with death touch. When Unstoppable Slasher deals combat damage to a player, they lose half their life, rounded up. When Unstoppable Slasher dies, if it had no counters on it, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, with 2 stun counters on it. Cryptghast, mono black deck. It's a 4 mana 2/2 spirit with Extort. Extort is when you cast a black or white spell, or is it just when you cast a spell? I can never remember. Stupid full art's not having reminder text. But you can play a hybrid white or black, so it's perfectly fine having this deck, and each opponent loses 1 life and you gain life equal to the life lost that way. Whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add an additional black. Draugen Necromancer. 4 mana 4/4 zombie cleric. It is a snow creature too. I have literally just read that and realized. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card with an ice counter on it. You may cast spells from among the cards in exile your opponent's own with ice counters on them, and you may spend mana from snow sources as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Really, it's just a zombie that gives me access to cool stuff. 4 mana Undead Warchief. Creature zombie. Zombie spells you play cost 1 less to play, and zombies you control get +2/+1, including himself. It's a 1/1. So, well, actually, it comes down as a 3/2. But it's Gary, Grey Merchant of Asphodel. I got the retro version from Time Spiral Remastered just because I quite like it. But when Grey Merchant of Asphodel enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. I win games with this very, very often. And here we are on to the demons. So I have the 3 that are legal from the contract with Liliana in the story, obviously. So Demon Lord Belzenlock is a 6 mana 6/6 Elder Demon with Flying and Trample, or Flample as it should now be known. When Demon Lord Belzenlock enters the battlefield, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Then put that card into your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process. Demon Lord Belzenlock deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. God, so many words on these cards. Grave Titan, 6 mana 6/6 giant with death touch. Whenever Grave Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, put 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield. Kothafed Soul Hoarder, another one of the demons from the contract. 6 mana 6/6 flying demon, legendary creature obviously. Whenever a permanent owned by another player is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Metamorphosis Fanatic. I haven't actually managed to play this card yet, but I opened it in a Duskmourn Nightmare bundle, and I was like, why not? It's a 6 mana 4/4 with a lifelink. Whenever Metamorphosis Fanatic enters, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it, and has Miracle for 2, so if it's the first card you draw on a turn, you may cast it for its Miracle cost. Obnixilis Unshackled, 6 mana 4/4 Flying Trample, again, Flample. Whenever an opponent searches his or her library, that player sacrifices a creature and loses 10 life. Whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on Obnixilis Unshackled. And here is the third demon from the contract that I'm allowed to have in the deck, and it's Razaketh. It is an 8 mana, 8/8 flying trample demon. Pay 2 life, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a card, and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Just, demonic tutor for 2 life. Lovely. Villas, Broker of Blood, another pre-release promo that I opened at the pre-release. It's an 8 mana, 8/8 flyer. No trample this time, so no flample. Pay a black and pay 2 life. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. So for a black and 2 life, you draw 2 cards, is what that basically says. Valgavoth, Terror Eater. Now this is a new card that I have managed to play a few times, and I've got to say, it's oppressive. It is a 9 mana, 9/9 flying lifelinker, Elder Demon. Ward, sacrifice 3 non-land permanents. If a card you didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with Valgavoth. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. This card is so good. Just gives you access to so much of your opponent's libraries, especially when you're forcing them to discard and stuff with some of the planeswalkers that we'll get to later, and it's a house. 9 mana is obviously quite steep, but either we ramp into it or we end up reanimating it out of the graveyard. Very, very good. Alright, that's all the creatures. On to the enchantments. Tiny Bones joins up. When Tiny Bones joins up enters the battlefield, any number of target players each discard a card. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, any number of target players each mill a card and lose 1 life. Like I said, lots of incidental discard in this deck. Animate Dead. Yeah, don't really need to talk about it. It's Animate Dead. When it enters, grab something from a graveyard and enchant it with it. Liliana's Caress. I love this art. She's just like, yes, love me, but also, whenever you discard a card, I'm going to take 2 life from you. Waste Knot. I love this version of Waste Knot. The Enchanting Tales from Wilds of Eldraine was awesome. And this, with the green and the black, it fits into the Liliana thing quite nicely. Like if you go back here. Sorry, the green and the purple. You can see there's lots of purple there. Although it did fit better when I had the Phyrexia All Will Be One swamps in this, because they had a bit of green in them too. But anyway, 2 mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a creature card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, add 2 black mana. Whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card, draw that card. Or draw a card, not draw that card. That'd be even more broken. Necropotence, speaking of Enchanting Tales. It's a 3 mana enchantment that says skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. Pay a life, exile the top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at your next end step. At the beginning of your next end step. Phyrexian Arena, another Commander Collection black card. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Simple. Liliana's Contract. Oh, I remember winning drafts with this card. It's a 5 mana enchantment. Whenever Liliana's Contract enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and lose 4 life. That's the part that won me the draft, drawing the 4 cards. The next bit, literally never, and I've only managed to get it off a couple of times in this deck, but it is the win con that I love the most. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. Hence, Liliana's Contract. Liliana's Mastery, 5 mana enchantment. Enchantment? Let's try that again. 5 mana enchantment. Zombies you control get +1/+1. When Liliana's Mastery enters the battlefield, create 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. My god, I've been reading too many cards. Confront the Past. The only reason this card is in the deck is because it is a very important part of Liliana's story, and that art of Liliana as Professor Onyx, but then the Dreadhorde General in the background as part of the War of the Spark thing where Gideon takes the damage. All the things. It's awesome. X and a black. Choose one. Return target Planeswalker card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Remove twice X loyalty counters from target Planeswalker and opponent controls. It is in here purely for that first ability because quite often your Liliana Planeswalkers get dead and you gotta bring them back. Dark Salvation. X and a black. Target player puts X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, then up to 1 target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each zombie that player controls. Finale of Eternity. X and 2 black. Destroy up to 3 target creatures with toughness X or less. If X is 10 or more, return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Insatiable Avarice. A black, and it has Spree, so for +2 generic mana, search your library for a card, then shuffle and put that card on top. And then for an additional 2 black, target player draws 3 cards and loses 3 life. It's very important with the Spree cards, you have to resolve them in order. You can't just go, I'm going to draw 3 cards and then search. Not that you probably want to, but yeah, you've got to resolve them in order. Reanimate. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its mana value. Chain of Smog. Yes, I have Professor Onyx in this deck. I have it as a bit of a nuclear deterrent. Actually, I'll just grab Professor Onyx real quick. This is the last card. And explain the combo in case anyone doesn't know what it does. So, Chain of Smogs is a 2-mana sorcery. Target player discards 2 cards from his or her hand. That player may copy this spell and may choose new targets for that copy. So you cast it, copy it, target yourself. Repeat the process, because it doesn't care if you have cards in your hand or not. But with Professor Onyx on the field, Professor Onyx has Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So that is just an infinite loop that drains everyone for all their life. I've literally never had to play it, but it is there just so that a game can end if I need it to. Demonic Council, 2-mana sorcery, search your library for a demon card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. That's the main reason it's in the deck. It's good enough given the demons in this deck, but it also has Delirium where if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead search your library for any card, put it into your hand, and shuffle. And yeah. So it becomes, hey, Demonic Tutor. I have this art of Demonic Tutor because Liliana's in it. So that's Kothfed with Liliana doing the deal, you know. The version of Demonic Tutor I want is this one, because it's gorgeous. I'm using these sleeves for the deck and outer sleeves over them to make sure they don't get super scratched up. But that is the Japanese Demonic Tutor from a Mystical Archive with Strixhaven. And one day I will buy that version, but it's like $150 to $300 depending on whether you get the etched or the foil or the non-foil or whatever, so I will get around to it one day. Grim Tutor. This is 3-mana sorcery, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library, you lose 3 life. Toxic Deluge. As an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X until end of turn. Dark Petition. So here is Liliana with, whoops, went to the wrong one, with Gristlebrand and a bunch of zombies around them. 5-mana sorcery, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Then if you have Spell Mastery, if there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, add 3 black mana to your mana pool. Command the Dreadhorde. Oh, I love this. So there she is, commanding the Dreadhorde in War of the Spark. Choose any number of target creature and or planeswalkers. Okay, command the Dreadhorde. Choose any number of target creature and or planeswalker cards in graveyards. Command the Dreadhorde deals damage to you equal to the total converted mana cost of those cards. Put them onto the battlefield under your control. Rise of the Dark Realms. 9-mana sorcery. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. So they're kind of how you win the game in a lot of instances. You get all your big zombies and stuff out and steal everyone else's stuff. Dark Ritual. This is the... what version is that? I can never remember what the cogs are. Is it Urza's Saga? Anyway. 1 mana to add 3 black mana to your mana pool. Great card. Entomb. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. Playing that on at your opponent's end step on their turn 1 to chuck like Razaketh or something into the graveyard. And then getting Reanimate to get it back out. So good. Deadly Dispute. 2-mana instant as an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice an artifact or creature. Draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. Liliana's Triumph. This is a... I can't remember what promo this is, but it's from War of the Spark and it's just gorgeous. 2-mana instant. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control Liliana Planeswalker, each opponent also discards a card. And here we are on to the big money. Well, not really the big money, but the most crucial part of the deck, which is the Liliana Planeswalkers. Liliana of the Veil, 3 mana, 3 loyalty planeswalker. +1, each player discards a card. -2, target player sacrifices a creature. -6, separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. That player sacrifices all permanents in the pile of their choice. It is so good. I want the original Innistrad version though. This is the Dominaria United version, yeah. But we will get the original Innistrad one day. Liliana the Last Hope. 3 mana, 3 loyalty planeswalker again. +1, up to 1 target creature gets -2/-1 until your next turn. -2, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. -7, you get an emblem with. At the beginning of your end step, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. Another emblem that took me forever to find. There it is. Liliana of the Dark Realms. 4 mana, 3 loyalty planeswalker. +1, search your library for a swamp card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. -3, target creature gets +X or -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of swamps you control. I've never used that ability, but it is quite handy. And then -6, you get an emblem with swamps you control, have tap to add 4 black mana. And hey, I have the matching emblem from M14, which again was quite a difficult thing to do. Liliana Untouched. Liliana Untouched by Death. 4 mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker. +1, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. If at least one of them is a zombie card, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. -2, target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of zombies you control. And -3, you may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. I've used the top and the bottom. I can't remember if I've ever used the second ability on that one. And Liliana Waker of the Dead, 4 mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker again. +1, each player discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life. -3, target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. -7, you get an emblem with. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It gains haste. I do have a printout of that emblem, and for the life of me, can't find it anywhere. So again, if anyone has that emblem, please hit me up. Liliana Vess, 5 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker. +1, target player discards a card. -2, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top. -8, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Liliana Death's Majesty. 5 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker again. +1, create 2/2 black zombie creature token. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. -3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. And -7, destroy all non-zombie creatures. Liliana Deathmage. This is one from the intro decks from M21. 6 mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker. And +1, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. -2, destroy target creature its controller loses 2 life. -7, target opponent loses 2 life for each creature card in their graveyard. Liliana Dreadhorde General. This is probably my favorite. 6 mana, 6 loyalty planeswalker, which has a static ability of whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. And then Professor Onyx. 6 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker with that Magecraft ability I spoke about earlier, which is whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. +1, you lose 1 life, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. -8, each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life. Repeat this process 6 more times. That is a finisher. But here it is. We have, I believe that's all 10 Liliana Planeswalkers plus the commander, the Liliana Flip. So what do we think, folks? Do we enjoy it? Is it flavorful enough? This is, like I said, one of my favorite decks of all time, and it's one that I keep tinkering with and changing around every now and then. The most recent change being some of those big creatures and also the beautiful swamps from Foundations. Yeah, if anyone has the Liliana Waker of the Dead emblem, please hit me up in the comments. If anyone has the Human Cleric token from Shadows of Innistrad, please hit me up in the comments as well. I will happily pay for them and organize shipping. But yeah, much love, folks. If you haven't already, please do hit like and subscribe. If you want to see more content like this on the channel, let me know. I have a few other decks that I'd love to go into. I also have some opening videos on the way for Innistrad Remastered with the store. So thanks a lot. Much love. See you later.